Lakas nun eh. Teka. Share ko muna yung screen ko para baka pag-usapan natin yung solution mo. Okay. Yung dito, may suggested format I think, check ko yung check ko yung book. Alam ko may suggested format si Vesnick Haldane Walker kung paano magsulat ng ng solutions eh. So this, we check. Sorry, Young and Friedman pala yun. Never mind. And share ko yung yung Young and Friedman na suggested format. So just put forward.
Actually, meron po kami book na Young and Friedman.
May yan eh. May number ba to? This is number 47. Teka, check ko yung Teka, sorry. Buksan ko yung yung Young and Friedman. Sa ibang folder ko yun eh. Merong may recommended way of actually yan eh, yung pagtingin mo yung na-encounter niyo na ba or na-encounter mo na ba yung si Polya?
Sino mo? Yung Russian scientist ba?
Ito yung pangalan niya. Siya eh, I think Hungarian mathematician. So, meron siyang let me use a different color. Ito. Meron siyang parang outline na sinusundan when solving a problem eh. Teka, check ko lang kasi wala yung copy ng book ko eh. Yung book ay, there's a book called, bukas ako ng ibang window. Tapos share ko yung second window. Para mas ito. So, ito yung So, let me talk about it first. The book is, siguro pwede mo mahanap to eh. Polya, and then how to solve it. So, yung niya, ang topic ng book ay yung tinatawag na heuristics. Kasi, yan eh. Yan yung parang, if you're faced with a problem, ano ba yung strategies for dealing with a problem when you don't know how to solve it? And aside from yung niya, yung topic niyan, yung method of solution niya kasi, or yung method na ginagawa niya, ang gusto ko rin, yan eh, pag sinundan mo at pag ginagawa mo yung ginagawa niya, tapos finifill in mo tapos yung sulat mo in detail, mas magiging malinaw yung writing mo. Kasi, meron siyang teka, check ko online kasi how to solve it by Polya. meron siyang hanapin ko yung image niya. Kung may how to solve it. Tapos, yung problem solving. 4 steps to problem solving. Okay, so, ito yung ano. So, meron siya, nasaan yung ano yun? Yung ito yung ano, yung isang kasi yung mga problems na encounter natin, di ba? At this, lalo yung mga latter parts ng chapter, di ba, complicated na kasi ang dami-dami mga bagay na na kailangang i-bring together. So, ito yung ano. So, let's read through this first. And then let's talk about how it works out for you dito sa ano. Ito yung link. Hindi ko mahabing exact na sinulat niya. Pero, let's open save this. And then, so let's read this together. Buksan ko I think mas maganda buksan ko to using external. Para pwede nating i-markahan. Okay, so pwede na. Okay, so kung may PDF ka, you can actually open it with external. Pero hindi ko lang alam kung gaano ka-stable yung external pag malaking PDF yan. Ang advantage kasi ng external, pwede mo siyang sulatan. Diba? Unlike yung normal PDF readers, diba, pwede mo lang gawin sa kanya, buksan, basahin. So, let's read this together. So, in 1945, George Polya published the book How to Solve It, which quickly became his most prized publication. It sold over 1 million copies and has been translated into 17 languages. In this book, he identifies 4 basic principles of problem solving. So, Polya's first principle: understand the problem. This seems so obvious that it is often not even mentioned, yet students are often stymied in their efforts to solve problems because they don't understand it fully or even in part. Polya taught teachers to ask students questions such as, do you understand all the words in stating the problem? What are you asked to find or show? Can you restate the problem in your own words? Can you think of a picture or diagram that might help you understand the problem? Is there enough information to enable you to find a solution? Ngayon, how does that work out in practice kapag nagsosolve ka ng problem at gumagawa ng write-up? Kaya yung first step ay tabi mo muna yung problem and then kailangan mo isulat ano yung given. Write the given. Assign variables. For all quantities in the problem. Draw a figure. So for physics, yung understand the problem is really kasama yan sa draw a figure. Yung free body diagram actually is also part of, for force problems, ang free body diagram is also part of understand the problem. For example, dito sa yung sa problem na ginagawa natin. Ano ba yung mga yung understanding the problem first, yung kailangan ma-identify na two-part problem siya. The first part is, I know the range. So given R, given the angle, so ito yung sketch, di ba? Given R, given theta, we need to find the initial speed. So it helps if you write down full text na ito yung diagram and then the following are given. So given R, yung use words to specify ano yung sabihin ng R, ano yung theta. Theta is the, so for example, yung theta is the launch angle. Kaya yung ano, yung make a list of all the variables and express in words, you know, yung assigned variables. So yung assigned variables, that's also the same as ito, express in words and figures what a variable represents in the problem. Ano yan eh. Kaya kita mo, kaya yun eh, yung before you start any problem solving, it's always give yourself an overview. Read the problem first. And then understand ano ba given? And what do you need to find? So, yung part of the problem here is yung sa overview ko lang, di ba? This is a two-part problem. So, for example, yung sabihin, yung problem na yun, yung ito kanina, yung problem, yung teka, saan ko lang, yung problem number 47, the Zaccini family, diba? Yung ano yun, yung stating the problem and in a way that you understand what's given and what you need to find. So yun, wala pang part yan na nagsusulat ka ng equations. Nag-identify ka, ito yung variables na given. So yung figure, useful yan. Kasi kasama yan dun sa ano eh. Kasama siya dun sa yung what is the statement, what is the problem. Yung forces, so yung figure 1 mo dito, at saka yung, okay, what's another figure na ano? So actually, dalawang figures yung important eh. Yung figure 1 is ito. Yung part 2 would be, meron kang straight line na barrel, dito siya magsisimula, dito siya aalis, tapos ito yung theta. And then free body diagram. So yung ito, and then free body diagram for the forces. For the part na, ito yung launch. So dito, kailangan mo i-understand what's given. If I solve part 1, then the given here will be v sub 0. And then, given din yung theta. So what we need to find is to find f from the canon na may vector. Kasi, ayun. So, so here, kailangan mong i-ano rin ano ba yung forces? So, pwede mo ano yun eh. Pwede kasing, sa halip na pagtabihin mo yan, pwedeng i-outline mo muna, sabihin mo tong dalawa. Okay, the first part of the problem is, I'm given r and theta, I need to find the launch speed. The second part of the problem is, once I found the launch speed, I need to find the force that's generated by the cannon during the part where it's launched. Ngayon, para hindi natin makita ng diretso yung ano, di ba? Yung connection between v sub 0 and theta. So, ano ba yung mga kailangan natin? We also need to know ano ba yung mass ng object. Tapos, what are the other forces? Kasi, find F canon. But if we want to find F canon, ano ba yung kailangan natin to get there? Siyempre, kailangan natin yung acceleration during this part of the journey. So find F canon. But how do I get F canon? I need to know the acceleration. So if I know acceleration, I can find F canon kasi from Newton's laws in a good free body diagram. So ito parang big picture ano yun eh. Tapos since mahaba na yung problem sa ginagawa natin, mas ano na yung iba, pag ginagawa mo na on your own, use something like this. Yung understand the problem. It takes time to understand the problem. Diba? And then write it down in a way na meron kang big picture. So may mangyayari para siyang essay na ito yung big picture. Hindi ko pa pwedeng isolve yan, pero ito yung ini-expect ko na magiging outline. And then, syempre, susubukan mo na. So, yan yung first part. Ngayon, so, itong yung given, ganyan, find F canon, given R theta V naught. Ano yan eh, actually may parts na rin yan, nakasama na siya dun sa second principle eh, yung, okay, you've understood the problem. Ngayon, ang pwedeng ang next devise a plan. So, Polya mentions that there are many reasonable ways to solve problems. The skill at choosing an appropriate strategy is best learned by solving many problems. You will find choosing a strategy increasingly easy, but that's really with experience. So kapag first time mo may encounter isang type of problem, you have to think about what do I know from before that I can use here. So, ito yung mga yung listahan niya ng partial list. A partial list of strategies. Guess and check. Make an orderly list. Eliminate possibilities. Use symmetry. Consider special cases. Use direct reasoning. Use solve an equation. Look for a pattern. Draw a picture. So, itong mga solve a simpler problem. So, yung problem na binigay na ganyan. Kasi kung hindi mo tayo ma-figure out, okay, let's solve a simpler problem. Tapos, work backwards. Use a formula. Actually, ayoko ng word na use of formula kasi para sa akin, formulae are statements in equation form. So, it means, ultimately, it's the same as solve an equation, as write an equation relating the variables that you're dealing with. So, so yung niyan, yung kinematic equations would be part of this. Yung, what do we know? Tapos, how are the variables going to be related to each other? So, kinematic equations are one of those things that you can use to solve yung part 1. Kasi, from there, you can figure out what do we know? And then, pwede kang gumamit ng highlighter, di ba? Para i-check. Ano ba yung mga alam natin? And then, ano ba yung unknown? Or the kinematic equation is going to be enough for us to find the initial speed? And then, actually, yung kinematic equations, diba? Sa problem na to, may dalawang separate na kinematic equations tayong ginamit. Yung first set of kinematic equations is para i-describe yung parabolic path. So part 1, gumamit tayong kinematic equations there. So part 2, a different set of kinematic equations will apply dun sa straight line na pinupush ng canon. So, importante rin, maybe use different variables for both. Okay, so, yan yung sa no? So, usually, itong part na to, yung write everything na you think might be relevant. And then, eventually, pagka ginawa mo na kasi yan, diyan ka nag-i-edit. No, sige, hindi pala lahat relevant. So, yung edited version, i-eliminate mo yung mga true relationships or equations na totoo, pero hindi relevant for your problem. Okay, so ito, yung carry out the plan. So ito, pag may plan ka na, ito yung direction na gusto natin patunguhan. Di ba ganun yung ginagawa natin? Meron akong, yung pag ginagawa ko rin yung problem, actually meron akong plan. So, if you look at the portion of your solution na, di ba, pansin, di ba 2 parts yung plan natin eh. Hanapin yung initial speed, and then pag alam na natin yung initial speed, use the kinematic equations again, this time for the barrel of the cannon, to find the acceleration. And then once we found the acceleration, to find the forces. So yun yung plan. And then, so can I implement? Okay. Actually, relatively malinis na to eh. Yung sinulat mo na. So okay na to. Kaya lang I think yung introduction na, kailangan mo yung introduction na, this is what we have to do. Ito yung strategy that we're going to implement. Kasi for someone who's reading this, lost sila. So guide the reader kung ano yung plan mo.
Yan, nagsuot lang po basta ng equation. Okay, here.
Ano siya eh, kasi for example, whether it's solving on paper or for example, gumagawa ka ng video sa YouTube na pinapakita mo yung solution, kailangan ng reader or ng viewer ng big picture explanation first before you go into the details. Okay ba? Lalo sa physics, yung sa math medyo, dahil hindi kasing yung physics kasi, di ba? Gumagamit na ng math from different parts of math. Tapos gumagamit din ng physical ideas from different parts of physics. So nagpa-pile up yung things na kailangang i-organize at mas lalong kailangan ng strategy na clearly stated. So it's for yourself and for your reader. Kasi pag binasa mo next time, okay, ito yung strategy na in-adopt ko. Okay na? So, yung equations 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yung starting point mo dyan, okay na yan. Ang kailangan mo ngayon gawin ay, before that, i-insert mo yung big picture explanation. Na ito this is the plan. These are the given. This is my plan. And then after that, implement na. So ito yung part na to kasi pwede mo isipin na yung solution mo, yan na yung part na implementing the plan. So kailangan talaga na, okay, but where did you get the plan from? And that's why it's important na explain mo yun. At least for pag nagsasubmit ka ng problem sets, magandang practice yun kasi pinipilit kang i-organize yung what you were thinking, and because you have to explain that way, and if you have the habit of explaining that, naki-carry over yan sa ibang problems eh. Okay? Kaya lang kasi, di ba, 2 hours, for example, sa physics, 2 hours a week lang tayo eh. So talagang hindi na pwedeng gawin lahat yun. So kaya ko lang inano to kasi para lang maraming teka, check ko lang napadala ko na ba sa yung the rules?
Sometime ago, PDF mo na ba?
Kaya check ko yung kung nandito sa hindi, sa email ko yun. Or sa drive. Kaya check ko kung basahin natin yung article din, yung article ni Mermin. Kasi yun yung inspiration for when sinulat ko yun eh. So Mermin. It's,
Ano pala siya, ano po si, Mermin pala, nang nagka-chemistry po ako, nakita ko, yung ano niya, yung publication niya sa Solid State. Solid State
hmm,
kasi, yung mga, yung medyo nagka-overlap. Siya pala,
hmm.
siya pa yun po. Yun mismo yung sinasabi niya.
Oo. And David Mermin. Famous siya sa Solid State eh. Ito. Ano to eh. Nung nabasa ko to nung nasa teka, saan ko yung folder, and then let's write down so let's open this with external, and then palit tayo ng so basahin na together. Gusto ko yung niya eh. Gusto ko yung nasa physics to dito eh. Nung nung I think second year college ako noon nung nabasa ko yan. Kasi tumatambay ako dati dun sa journal section nung UP Diliman College of Science Library. Tapos yung isa sa mga problems ko kasi dati, yung nung second year first year, yung bakit hindi nagsistay sa akin yung lessons ng physics ng first physics courses ko. Kasi kung nung nagsosolve ko nung yung physics 101, 102, 103, 104, wala pa ako ng habit noon na nagsusulat ng na tinatry kong i-explain in writing yung yung reasoning process. Tapos, so ang yun eh, kaya yung naging concern ko noon eh, yung writing. Kasi, pansin ko yun eh, yung mga classmates ko rin na pag nagsosolve, alam mo yung sinusulat lang equations tapos dire-diretso lang without any explanation. Napansin ko na hindi rin sila nagsasucceed eh. Tapos, kinumpare ko yun dun sa, nung may classmate kasi ako noon na contestant sa isa sa mga Olympiads. Pansin ko, mas detailed yung working niya. Tapos may explanatory text. So, ang question pa sa bakit ganon? Is there something there na that's helpful for understanding? So, actually, later, nung later, much later, I found out na tama yung hinala ko na meron. Kasi may mga studies about writing din eh, na you write to help explain things to yourself. Anyway, ito yung ni Mermin. So let's read it together. So, basa ba? Okay, so, teka. Stop share. Bakit yan yung Ito. So, basahin natin si Mermin. Okay, what's wrong with these equations? Gusto ko yung writing niya eh. Okay, so, a major impediment to writing physics gracefully comes from the need to embed in the prose many large pieces of raw mathematics. Nothing in freshman composition courses prepares us for the literary problems raised by the use of displayed equations. Our knowledge is acquired implicitly by reading textbooks and articles, most of whose authors have also given the problem no thought. When I was a graduate teaching assistant in a physics course for non-scientists, I was struck by the exceptional clumsiness with which extremely literate students, who lacked the exposure even to such dubious examples, treated mathematics in their term papers. The equations stood out like droppings on a well-manicured lawn. They were invariably introduced by the word equation, as in, pondering the problem of motion, Newton came to the realization that the key lay in the equation F equals ma. To these innocents, equations were objects, gingerly to be pointed at or poked. not inseparably integrated into the surrounding prose. Clearly, people are not born knowing how to write mathematics. The implicit tradition that has taught us what we do know contains both good strands and bad. One of my defects of character being a preference for form over substance, I have worried about this over the years, collecting principles that ought to govern the marriage of equations to readable prose. I present a few of them here, emphasizing that the list makes no claim to be complete. We are constantly assaulted by so many egregious violations of even these simple precepts that I offer them in the hope that a few sinners, not only writers, but copy editors, publishers of journals, and even the authors of the mathematics subsections of literary style manuals, may read them and repent the error of their ways, or even be inspired to further beneficial studies of the sadly neglected field of mathematical grammatics. Rule 1: Fisher's Rule. This rule, named after the savant who reprimanded me for abusing it when I was young and foolish, simply enjoins one to number all displayed equations. Familiar? The most common violations of Fisher's rule is the misguided practice of numbering only those displayed equations to which the text refers back, or to which the text subsequently refers back. I call this heresy Occam's rule. Back in the days of pens, pencils, and typewriters, use of Occam's rule was kept under control by the pain of having to renumber everything by hand whenever it was deemed wise to add a reference to a hitherto unremarked upon equation. One often encountered papers displaying the results of the ungainly Fisherian Occamite compromise. Number all equations that you think you might want to refer to. Now, now that automatic equation numbering macros can act upon symbolic names, the tech may program for writing for writing uh, math and may typesetting language the tech na automatic yan. Now that automatic numbering macros can act upon symbolic names, the barrier to full Occamism has been removed, and it is necessary to state emphatically that Fisher's rule is for the benefit not of the author, but the reader. For although you, dear author, may have no need to refer in your text to the equations that you therefore left unnumbered, it is presumptuous to assume the same disposition in your readers. And although you may well have acquired the solipsistic habit of writing under the assumption that you will have no readers at all, you are wrong. There is always the referee. The referee may desire to make reference to equations that you did not that you did not. Beyond that, should fortune smile upon you and others occasionally have occasion and others actually have occasion to mention your analysis in papers of their own, they will not think the better of you for forcing them into such locutions as the second equation after 3.21, or the third unnumbered equation from the top in the left-hand column on page 2485. Actually, kaya gusto ko na yung sulat may equations kasi pag may equation numbers, di ba pwedeng i-point out eh. Even should you solipsistically choose to publish in a journal both unrefereed and unread, you might subsequently desire, just for the record, to publish an erratum, the graceful flow of which could only be ensured if you had adhered to Fisher's rule in your original manuscript. Okay, ito yung ano. So that's for numbering equations. Ito, the rule number 2, the Good Samaritan rule. So, a good Samaritan is compassionate and helpful to one in distress. And there is nothing more distressing than having to hunt your way back in the manuscript in search of equation 2.47, not because your subsequent progress requires you to inspect it in detail, but merely to find out what it is about so you may know the principles that go into the construction of equation 7.38. Nakita mo yun, yung sinasuggest ko, sulat mo yung, pag ginamit mo yung Newton's laws, kaya pinapasat, from the free body diagram and from Newton's second law, I know that. And then with the equations or tatlo. Depende sa ano yung size, kung ilang directions you involved. Kasi if you don't write it down, ang hirap i-figure out ano yung reasoning na nangyari. The Good Samaritan rule says, when referring to an equation, identify it by a phrase as well as a number. Actually, yung ano yan add explanatory text din yun eh. May shorter version si Mermin ng rules na to eh. Isa kanya, yung shorter version niya, add explanatory text. The Good Samaritan rule says, when referring to an equation, identify it by a phrase as well as a number. No compassionate and helpful person would herald the arrival of equation 7.38 by saying, inserting 2.47 and 3.51 into 5.13, when it is possible to say, inserting the, the form 2.47 of the electric field E and the Linhard form 3.51 of the dielectric function epsilon into the constitutive equation 5.13. Sa ngayon, hindi pa siya kasing essential. Kasi pag tingnan mo yung yung work yung sa Newton's laws, it's enough, your working memory is still long enough para magkasya lahat ng what do the symbols mean, what are the equations. Pero still, it is helpful kasi if you pagpaulit-ulit mo sinasabi sa sarili mo ano yung thinking process behind your substitutions, it stays eh. Okay, to be sure, it's longer this way. Consistent use of the Good Samaritan rule might well increase the length of your paper by a few percent. In your case, it's going to increase the length of your solutions. But admit it, your paper is probably already too long by at least 30% because you were in such a rush to get it out that you didn't really take enough care putting it all together. That's why revisions. So prune elsewhere, but don't force your poor readers. You really must assume you will have some, or it is madness to go on writing, to go leafing back when a few words from you would save them the trouble. Admittedly, sometimes an equation is buried so deep in the guts of an argument, so contingent on context, so ungainly in form, that no brief phrase can convey to a reader even a glimmer of what it is about. And anybody wanting to know why it was invoked in a dozen pages further on cannot do better than to wander back along the trail and gaze at the equation itself, all glowering, sorry, and menacing in its lair. Even here, the mere attempt to apply the Good Samaritan rule can have its benefits. If the nature of the equation is inherently uncharacterizable in a compact phrase, is the cross-reference really necessary? Indeed, is the equation itself essential? Or is it a kind of nasty and fundamentally uninteresting intermediate step that readers will either skip over or, if seriously interested, narinig? Hello?
Opo.
Okay, sige. Share. So, tuloy natin yun, ha? Tapos yung isang papabasa ko, it's a whole book.
Oh,
Pero
no.
I think it's worth reading. No, it's actually okay siya eh, kasi it's about non-fiction writing. Favorite book siya ni Perry Esguerra pagdating sa writing non-fiction. Kasi ang dami mga principles na nandito na actually nag-fit within na kailangan mo for writing scientific papers eh. And it's also yung idea ng yung on writing well, di ba? Ang dami mga activities sa mundo na kailangan talaga yung good writing. So, for example, if you're preparing a script for a YouTube video or meron kang presentation na gusto gawin, you're writing.
Oh.
Di ba? So, importante siya. Okay, so tuloy natin yung ano, no? Yung kung saan tayo stop. No? Kasi, I think, ano eh, this is, ito yung favorite article ni ito yung ano yun, this is what started the journey for me eh. So, ito. So, even here, the mere attempt to apply the Good Samaritan rule can have its benefits. If the nature of the equation is inherently uncharacterizable in a compact phrase, is the cross-reference really necessary? Indeed, is the equation itself essential? Or is it a kind of nasty and fundamentally uninteresting intermediate step that readers would either skip over, or if seriously interested, work out for themselves, in neither case needing to have it appear in your text? If so, drop it. Okay, ngayon sa mga solutions na in school, yung mga solutions na, let's say may mahabang algebra na kailangan, yung possible way around this is, pwede mo ilagay sa appendix. For example, merong integral na kailangan i-calculate. Pwede gawin mo na, okay, the integral is this, and then the answer is this. See appendix for the calculation of the integral. Kasi, when you think about it, yung calculation is really about, the physics is setting up the equations and the relationships, and then getting a or making a strategy for solving the problem. Yung mathematical steps na gano'n, hindi siya yung iniisip ng physicist na part ng physics eh. Parang sa kanila, it's just a means to an end. So it helps na if it's an integral problem na you should be able to do from a previous course, then lagay mo sa appendix. Kapag, especially kung mahaba yung problem. Like, yung mga problem sets ng, nakaranas na ako ng ano eh, ng 20-page problem sets eh. Yung mga ganon, na mahaba yung calculation, tapos may calculation ka na, elementary calculation, but it's something that takes you away from the main argument. Appendix. So, at this stage, hindi pa siya ganun ka-importante. Kasi, yung nasty, long, yung mga nasty algebraic steps, part pa rin na, ano eh, ng gustong makita ng teacher niyo eh. Pero later, hindi siya ganun. Instead, ang mangyari, ano yung fundamental ideas. Tapos nun, meron ka lang outline na paano mo gagawin siya. Tapos meron kang appendix na nandun yung details for the interested reader. Kasi minsan may mga techniques kang gagawin na unfamiliar for your reader, and you want to demonstrate the technique to your reader as part of the process of educating your reader. I think yung example niyan eh, kung yung integral ay weird, like kailangan mo ng special methods na hindi tinuturo sa typical math class, then it's worth including, it might be worth including even in the main text or in the appendix. Okay, so is it a kind of nasty and fundamentally uninteresting intermediate step that readers would either skip over, or if seriously interested, work out for themselves? In neither case, needing to have it appear in your text. If so, drop it. You will then have to revise the argument referred back to it. But the chances are good that the argument will gain in clarity from not having an uncharacterizable monster of an equation at its heart. May part na ano eh, na good, may some taste, some experience is also involved in writing your solution. Kasi, for example, yung mga steps na hindi mo include, yung pinaka-famous na example niyan si Laplace, di ba? Nalala mo yung kwento ko about, nakwento ko ba sa'yo yung ano, yung mga readers niya, they would groan kapag kami na-encounter na yung phrase ni Laplace sa books niya na, it is easy to show. Tapos, alam mo na, pag na yung easy to show na yun, aabutin sa ng ilang araw na pag-iisip at maraming pages of mathematical work. It's so bad that yung may other story pa nga na yung assistant ni Laplace may hindi maintindihan sa book niya. So ginawa, okay, lapit siya kay Laplace para tanungin, paano ba gawin tong it is easy to show na to? Tapos si Laplace din, lost din. Kasi di niya rin maalala kung paano gawin. Kaya kaya use mo yung appendices. Doon mo lagi kung something that's long and nasty. Tapos kailangan mo na pero importante siya na magawa. Pwedeng ganun eh. Ano ba examples ng mga ng mga long and nasty na calculations? For example, what if binigyan ka yung system mo naging, alam mo yung n equations with n unknowns?
Oh no.
So let's say may 5 by 5. 5 equations with 5 unknowns ka. That's an example of something na nasty. Kasi kung yung physics will give you those 5 equations, yun yung important part. Yung step to solve the 5 equations for the unknowns, that's math. In that case, pwede mo ilagay sa appendix. Tapos sabihin mo, the solution of this system is, tapos sa appendix yung, okay, paano mo gawin yung solution? Yung mga di ba, naka-encounter na tayo dati ng, yung sa additional math, di ba, naka-encounter tayo ng 3x3 systems. Tapos, ang ginagawa natin, calculator method. Kailangan natin i-rearrange into a form na pwedeng ma-plug in sa calculator. So, yung rearrangement, that's important. So, sulat mo. Pero yung once na rearrange na, yung kailangan mo na i-note, okay, pwede kong gamitin yung fx991ex para i-solve yung system na to. And the answer is, or in more detail, pwede sabihin, I can use the linear system solver of the fx991ex to get the following answer. Actually, di ba yung so far mo na-encounter natin equations, kung linear system sila, pag forces, 2x2. At most, 3x3. So, pag na-set up yung tatlo, pwede mo kasing gawin na, okay, the solution of this system is using an fx991ex. Ito yung masagot. Ang disadvantage ng fx991ex ay, paano kung gusto mong i-adjust yung given? So kaya hindi natin ginagamit yun sa physics eh. Pag exam, tapos kailangan mo lang makuha yung numbers, pwede ka nang, you can stop there, plug in the numbers, tapos use fx991ex to solve for the numbers. Pero kasi pagka homework or problem set, you want something na pwede mong i-adjust. Kasi yung given na pwede mong palit-palitan. Kasi pag ganon, pwede kang mag-check for limiting cases. Example, yung range, alam natin na as the angle goes to 0, diba, dapat i-expect natin yung range kapag projectile motion lumiliit na lumiliit. So kapag may mali ka sa calculation at yung limiting case yun hindi nangyayari, automatic na lalabas yun. Okay, so let's continue with this. Yung rule number 3, math is prose. The math is prose rule simply says end a displayed equation with a punctuation mark. Guilty ako for violating this pero I try. So, kasi yung treatment ko sa equation, basta equation, sentence yan. So, hindi ko nilalagyan ng period. Pero might be a good idea to put usually kung naglalagay ng period after the equation number, hindi before. Kasi pag yung period nasa loob ng equation mismo, it can confusing din siyang basahin eh. So usually nilalagay ko after the equation number. Same thing with quotation marks. It is implicit in this statement that the absence of a punctuation mark is itself a degenerate form of punctuation, that like periods, commas or semicolons can be used provided it makes sense. So, yun yung compromise ko. Pag equation, pag walang punctuation, that's a whole sentence. For unlike the figures and tables in your article, unlike droppings on a lawn, the equations you display are embedded in your prose and constitute an inseparable part of it. The detailed theory of how equations are to be viewed as prose does not concern us here. Sometimes they function as subordinate clauses, the equal sign being the verb. Diba? Something is. Diba? Left hand side is equal to the right hand side. That's the sentence. Um, Sometimes they appear as substantive phrases, like a list of the contents of a room. Sometimes, regrettably, they must merely be presented to the reader as objects like quotations, but with the convention that quotation marks are not required, except in the rare case that Mathis prose requires it, as in equation 1 above, which I never dreamed I would be referring back to when I first put it into the essay. Regardless, okay, bakit may quotation marks nga pala yun? You know, kasi part siya ng sentence na sinulat ng student, di ba? So, kaya nilagyan ng punctuation. Regardless, however, of the often subtle question of how to parse the equation internally, certain things are clear to anyone who understands the equation and the prose in which it is embedded. Thus, the end of the equation may or may not coincide with the end of the sentence in which it stands. If it does, then the equation should end with a period. Or rarely, if the equation terminates an interrogative sentence, it should end with a question mark. So kung hindi ka sure kung totoo na equal, pwedeng yung equation mo equals and then yung dulo may question mark. Is something equal to something? Question mark. Di ba? Yung other way na pero yung iba kasi, yung ibang conventions for writing that ay something, tapos yung equal, may question mark dun sa ibabaw. That's a form of punctuation. So sinasabi mo na, I don't know yet if the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. Pero generally, hindi ko ginagamit yun. Mas gusto ko yung question mark sa dulo. Okay, having now succeeded in publishing an equation requiring a question mark, it remains my dream to publish an article with an equation that requires quotation mark. No, it remains my dream to publish an article with an equation that requires a question mark. Somehow, I haven't gotten around to it. If the equation terminates a clause or is part of an extended list, then it should only end with a comma or semicolon. Only infrequently is no punctuation required, as, for example, only when the sum of f of x sub I equals 0 is it impermissible to divide by this sum. We punctuate equations because they are a form of prose. They can, after all, be read aloud as a sequence of words, and are therefore subject to the same rules as any other prose. The decree that every sentence would end in a period unless the equation terminates in a displayed equation is grotesque. Okay, I'm guilty of that. If you disagree, try the rule that every opening quotation mark must be followed by a closing one unless the quotation terminates in an equation. But one does not punctuate equations only because it is ugly not to. More importantly, punctuation makes them easier to read and often clarifies the discussion in which they occur. Acquiring the habit of viewing an equation not as a grammatically irrelevant blob, but as a part of the text fully deserving of punctuation, can only improve the fluency and grace of one's expository mathematical prose. Most journals punctuate their equations, even if the author of the manuscript did not, but a sorry few don't, removing all vestiges of the punctuation carefully supplied by the author. This unavoidably weakens coupling between the math and the prose, and often introduces ambiguity and confusion. I'm sorry to say that Physics Today, yung journal na kung saan ito nakapublish, is guilty of this practice. To be sure, its use of equations is sufficiently light that this does not inflict substantial hardship on readers. But it greatly undermines the role Physics Today so commendably plays in other respects, as a model of good writing about hard science. May the appearance of equation 1 above signal the start of a new and better tradition. We should strive more generally to make errant journals mend their ways. It is easier than you might think. One of my students and I once did a piece of work required us to lead the reader, or at least we know for a fact the referee, through unavoidably dense thickets of equations. Unfortunately, the otherwise obvious journal for our paper systematically violated the math is prose rule. So, in our letter of submission, we emphasized that the punctuation in our equations was essential for the comprehensibility of our argument. The letter of acceptance, however, informed us that the publisher adhered in this and all its other journals, as well as in its books, to a firm policy of never punctuating equations. In that case, we wrote back, just return the manuscript and we'll send it somewhere else. After a long pause, we were informed that at the meeting of the board of directors of the publishing firm, a special dispensation had been granted to our paper, and indeed, it appeared with punctuated equations. Fortunately, Fisher's rule and the Good Samaritan rule don't require assent from boards of directors, so you have nobody to blame but yourself if your papers don't observe them. You can mend your ways right now. At the minimum, you'll make life much easier for an overworked referee, and with luck, you might even have a few happily undistressed readers. Tapos yung reference yung Foundations of Physics, yun yung journal na yun. Ano yun eh, this article only touches upon some of the things that are important for good mathematical writing. May additional resources pa eh. Si Paul Halmos writes about, meron siyang books about, meron siyang, na-influence ako ni Paul Halmos on writing math eh. Meron siyang autobiography. Ang tawag niya ay ang kanyang automathography na nabanggit yung mga ganyang issues din eh. The other thing na I think useful din, it's going to be helpful. Ngayon, di ko pa nararamdaman yun. Pero it's going to be helpful kasi ito yung send ko sa yung book. Maliit lang naman yun eh. Let me send a file. Zinsser on Writing Well, 4.7 MB. If you have a print copy, it's going to be much better kasi mas mali siyang basahin. Kung may EPUB, nagbabasa ka ba ng books using your phone?
PDF tsaka e-book format.
Yung EPUB format. Ito kasi PDF form eh. Baka may EPUB format eh, so hanapin ko rin. Maganda yung niya eh. Maganda yung, I think, ang gusto ko sa kanya, so let me stop sharing. Ang gusto ko sa kanya, kasi, di ba, when we read something, ang nakikita natin yung finished product. Pag nagbabasa tayo ng textbook, may solution na binigay, ang nakikita lang natin, di ba, yung finished product na. And we tend to have the illusion na nung sinulat ng author yon, ganoon na talaga yung form from the beginning. So, because we have that illusion, pagka tayo yung nagsosolve and our first attempt doesn't give us something na ganun kalinis, Di ba discouraging yan for a lot of people? Kasi, bakit ganun? Yung book ganito kalinis, tapos yung solution ko ang gulo. When in fact, may editing process. Si Zinsser, pinapakita niya yung editing process in the context of writing nonfiction. Yung sa atin, yung pag-uusap tayo, we're actually yung isa sa mga ginagawa natin ay yung editing process din when it comes to writing math and writing physics. Which I think is important. Maaring, ano yan eh, yung mga students ko, yung mga previous students ko rin, minsan naiisip, bakit kaya ito na-solve ko naman, pero pinapa-rewrite sa akin ni Mike. Kasi, kung gusto mo na mag-improve yung understanding mo, the rewrite and rethinking is essential. Ganun din yung sa On Writing Well. May mga example siya na pinapakita niya yung, kasi yung writer ng On Writing Well, nagsusulat siya ng non-fiction. Tapos, yung mga principles na ginamit niya for good writing, nandyan. And I think the most important thing there is revise. Yung for example, yung revisions mo, when you revise, I think it's a good idea na ab initio, na let's say may solution ka na, tabi mo muna. Huwag mong gamitin yung solution niya na as a basis for rearrangement. Try to do it again without looking at the solution. That's also part of the revision process for math and physics. And then compare kung anong ginawa mo with anong solution mo sa una. And then reread. And then think, is there a way for me to improve yung argument so that it's clearer? Is there a way para clear kung ano yung what I was thinking while I was doing this? It will take time. Pero essential yun eh. Ang daming students na hindi ginagawa yun, kaya nagtataka sila, bakit natutunan ko naman to, nakauno naman ako sa ganitong subject dati, pero bakit 2 semesters after wala na? Well, that's part of the that's part of the reason, kasi yung careful rethinking and revision did not happen. Okay. Actually, yung part niyon, that's also, yung revision work is also yung Polya's fourth principle. Ito yun. Kasi hindi pa natin inabutan yun sa window na yun eh. Ito. So, may carry out the plan na tayo. Persist with the plan you have chosen. If it continues not to work, discard it and choose another. And then after that, yung look back. Polya mentions that much can be gained by taking the time to reflect and look back at what you have done, what worked and what didn't. Doing this will enable you to start to predict what strategy to use in future problems. So, galing to sa book na How to Solve It by George Polya. Check mo kung may PDF ako. I think meron din naman ako nun eh. Polya. How to Solve It. I think send ko lang sa iyo yun later. Ano siya eh, source of binabalik-balikan ko siya kasi it makes me think about yung the process of nakatulong siya for revising. Kasi makes you think about ano ba yung ginagawa kong, ano ba yung current practice ko? Is it something na I should continue or is there something that I can improve? So marami siyang, he has a lot to say about that. So give yourself time to read those books. Polya, Zinsser. Yung Zinsser, highly recommended. Kasi I think one of the reasons that most people don't improve in writing is because they think na imposible eh.
Opo.
Tapos, di ba? Tapos may idea din sila na pag lalo na for example kung yung mga yung mga na-afflict with the idea na hindi ko kayang gawin yan. Strange enough, yung mga taong mahilig magbasa, tinatamaan ng ganon. Kasi after being exposed to a lot of good writing, walang self-confidence yung mga nagbasa na, I can do this too. Kasi nakikita lang nila yung finished result. Pero writing is a craft. And I think yung book ni Zinsser talks about the craft of writing. And part of the craft of writing is revision. Hindi talaga siya may iwasan. At saka diba, pansin mo na yung the act of revision has made, hopefully no, yung nung nag-rewrite ka, naging mas malinaw ba para sa yung naging argument?
Pero okay lang pa.
Sorry, ano yan?
Maba lang po, pero I can understand it.
So actually, ang tingin ko kasi yung the rewrite helps clarify anong nangyayari. So kung medyo malabo pa yon, revision also makes things better, more well understood. Okay, anyway. So yun yung ano, no? So reflect. So you reflect and ano yung sabi ni Polya? So you reflect and think about what worked, what didn't. That's part of the writing process. So that thing on reflecting and looking back at what you've done is something that may ano yun eh, hindi ko maalala yung term eh, pero it's something na common sa act of writing, the act of doing math and physics, and also actually any skill. If you're trying to learn a skill, yung taking the time to reflect and look back at what you've done, what worked and what didn't, is part of the learning process. Kasi pag nakita mo na something that you've been doing doesn't work, syempre yung hopefully nag-stay, makukuha mo yung lesson na, okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. Diba? Sige. Ngayon, punta na tayo sa ano. So let's go now to, ito medyo mahabang digression away from yung ano natin, yung usual lesson. Pero kasi, ang tawag sa mga ganito, ang tawag sa pinag-uusapan natin, sabi yung wala, yung alam mo yung term kasi na tinatawag sa for this. Ang term na yun ay metacognition.
Meta. Parang insight or
Diba? So thinking about thinking. And it's part of, and ano yan eh, may mga studies about metacognition na taking the effort to go through that stage is helpful for learning. Kaya yung taking a step back and then thinking about what are the things that I'm doing that are working? What are the things that don't work? That's part of metacognition. So, useful yan. Ang iniisip mo, pwede kasi isipin ng mga tao na hindi useful yung ganito kasi wala kang solve directly na problem. But you really have to reflect on what you've already done to be able to improve. So, hindi mo siya dapat iwasan. Anyway, so punta na tayo dun sa ano. So, I think I've talked enough about this. I strongly recommend Zinsser. I actually find it a funny book na yung humor niya. So it talks about the craft of writing with humor. So I hope ma-enjoy mo rin yun. Na-enjoy ni Perry, na-enjoy ko rin yung book. Hopefully, ma-enjoy mo rin yan. So, kaya ako sinend. So, nakuha mo na? So, nasend ko na yung, nasa messenger na siya. So, download mo lang. Tapos, itabi mo siya, read through it. Kahit na one chapter in one sitting. Maraming mga books na ganyan that talks of na I think is important from the metacognition for the metacognition aspect of doing physics. Kaya yung ginagawa namin dati sa math methods nung ako yung nagtuturo nun sa mga members ng theory. Meron kaming reading about metacognitive issues. So yung mga parang it's not directly physics, but it talks about some of the practices that will help us do better physics. So, ito example yan, kasama yan sa reading list namin. Okay? So, let me now go back to the book. Or let's now go back to the book. So stop sharing na ako. Tapos let's look at the next problem sa Resnick Haldane Walker. Naka-unshare na, no? Okay. So pwede pa share ng screen mo tapos tingnan natin sa Resnick Haldane Walker yung kung ano yung next na gagawin natin. Yung last na ginawa natin, di ba, ay so yeah, so we're done with number 51. Tapos number 53. Okay, so tingnan ko yung So, free body diagram. Tapos ito yung mga forces. Magnitude of the system's acceleration. Okay, ngayon, so alam na natin yung acceleration. Paano yung yung mga specific tensions? What's T sub 1, what's T sub 2, what's T sub 3?
Tabo lang. So, alam yung T3. So, mag-calculate yung E. Tapos pwede nyo pa hanapin yung T1 sa
Yeah. Patingin mo, yung paano mo hinanap yung nasaan yun? Yung so free pwede pwede pa send ng file na yan para pwede kong tingnan din.
So, yun.
Okay, tingnan ko. This is number 53, no? Tapos, the acceleration is 0.970 meters per second square. Okay. And then, yung T sub 1 Okay, so alam mo, kuha na yung T sub 1. So, mhm, 11.6. Tapos, Newton's second law for T sub 2. So, we get 34.9. Okay. So, okay na yan. Ngayon, check na, tingnan ko yung kasunod. Yung 55. Okay, so pwede pa scroll down, patingin ng 55 mo. So, check ko lang yung free body diagram. So, yung M sub 1, makakaranas siya ng force na F. Tapos, force from mass 2 to mass 1. Tapos, yung M2, makakaranas siya ng force from M1 to M2. So, tama. So, Newton's third law, kaya may ganyan. Okay, Newton's second law, F net is equal to so for the first part, we want to find the magnitude of the force between the two blocks. Tapos, yung acceleration is so ang ginawa mo, yung combined system, yung combined mass times acceleration equals F net. Tapos, yung F net here is just, teka, yung equation 3, ano yan? So, parang wala, hindi siya galing sa free body diagram mo. So, anong F ito? Yung applied force?
F net.
Pero hindi pwedeng yung,
Okay lang. F lang.
di ba yung sa ano, pag equation, yung M1 times acceleration should be equal to F minus F2, F of M2 acting on M1 from your free body diagram. Tama naman sa yung ano. Ang sorry, naka-off pala yung mic. So, tingnan mo yung equation 3 mo. Yung F equals M1A. Parang hindi siya nag-fit with anything. Kasi, kung hindi siya nagma-match dun sa free body diagram mo for M1. Diba? Tama yung 2. Agree ako na yung F net on the system where F net, tapos yung F net, tinan mo tong ano, yung hindi ako agree yung, tingnan natin yung sa ano, yung sa number 1, F net is equal to, I think ano yan eh, clarify natin, no? Ano tong F net na, yung F net sa 1 at yung F net sa 2, pareho ba sila?
Hindi po.
Hindi, di ba? You have to use a different symbol. So, F net acting on system, F net acting on 1, F net acting on 2. So, lagyan mo na, I think, lagyan mo ng subscript. F net system, F net on 1, F net on mass 2. What F nets are these? So, F net, ano yun? M1, no? Tapos, yung sa 3, sa equation 2, okay, so F net system. Ngayon, yung sa 3, ano yan? What led you to set that up?
I don't think it's used anywhere either.
So, hindi siya tapos wala ring dahilan for it to be set up or for it to be true. So, hindi siya kasama talaga sa argument mo. Okay, now, tingnan, so, strike out to, no? Tapos, it's a different color for my notes. So, hindi kasama to. Tapos, A is equal to F net. So, yung sa number 3, F net acting on system. So, F net, tapos ito acting on M1. Okay, so F is equal to Teka, paano related yung Fnet system sa sa big F?
I think they are the same kasi magka-cancel naman to.
So, paki-note yon. So, Fnet system, I think baka yun yung equation mo eh. Yung equation number 3. Fnet system is equal to F.
Hindi F na lang itong gamitin.
Kaya, hindi siya Fnet acting on 1.
F lang.
So, F lang.
So, I have to revise it.
Ngayon, okay. Kasi, yung kaya ginagamit yung symbol yun kasi yun yung given na symbol eh. Diba? Okay, so F na lang yan.
Bakit po? 3.2 pa rin po.
Yun. It's number 55. Two on one, and then F. And then if M1, yeah, find the magnitude of the force between the two blocks. Okay, so yung sa letter B, ibang free body diagram yan kasi nagbago yung situation. Okay, so kaya check ko lang. Yung F2 on 1, okay. Actually, yung sagot mo, yung 7, tama yan. That should be 1.1 newtons. 2.3. $1.2. Yeah. Sige, check ko lang yan, no? Dapat ano yun, yeah. So, yeah, basahin ko lang yan, no? M1 acting on M2. So 3.2 divided by M1 plus M2, so 2.3 plus 1.2. Yan yung acceleration. Tapos, M1 on M2 is going to be kaya, sige. Okay, I think kailangan natin ano yan. Sige, let's parse this together. Kasi, kahit ako nalilito na eh. So, okay, so let me copy the problem. And then, tingnan natin yung setup. Gawin ko yung I'm going to use your notation. Tapos, try kong i-revise para maging mas malinaw din sa akin. And then, share yung screen ko. Tapos, and save document. Ito. Tapos, copyhin ko yung mga so that you can edit. Kasi ito ko na nalagay. And then, para po yan i-rearrange. Okay. So, for situation A, ito yung free body diagram. M1 will be experiencing a force from the left. And then, meron siyang, para mas simple yung writing natin, para lang, isi-simplify ko lang yung notation. So, I'll use instead of F, gamit ako ulit para kita. So, instead of using M1 acting on M2, gagamit na ako ng 1 acting on 2. So, this is 2 on 1. This is 1 on 2. So, okay, so by Newton's second law, we want to find Fm1 acting on M2. So F acting on 1 acting on 2. Okay, so ito, i-ano ko lang i-skip ko to. Kasi gusto ko, F net. So Newton's second law says, F net acting on, so anong object ba nag-act yung force na yan? So F net acting on 1, on object 1. Kasi para may sense yan. So from by Newton's second law, FBD number 1, FBD number 2, and FBD. So from the free body diagram 1, we get this. So yeah, that's true. Fnet, so lagyan natin ng subscript. Fnet system is equal to M1 plus M2 times A. M1 plus M2 is the combined mass of the whole system. So, ayan. Tapos, Fnet sys is equal to F. Ngayon, from 2 and 3, so that we can, so Fnet sys, tapos nun, let's plug in some numbers para ma-compare lang natin. So Fnet sys is 3.2 newtons divided by 2.3 plus 1.2. So we should get 3.2 over 2.3 plus 1.2. Ang makukuha natin acceleration ay 0.914 meters per second square. Okay, ngayon, tingnan natin yung number 5. Fm, so palitan lang natin yung notation, 2 to 1. Okay, ito yung dito na yung may problema. Hindi pa natin alam kung yung Fnet acting on M1. Right? So ano ba to? Why is it na 3.2 yung nakalagay? So we have to justify kung bakit 3.2. Yung justification, Fnet acting on 1 is equal to yung mass of 1 times the acceleration. Let's check. Ano ba yung mass ng second object? Ng first object? It's 2.3. Ano yung acceleration? It's 0.914. So, times 3. So, hindi siya 3.2. 2.3. So, acceleration is point something times 2.3. Ang makukuha natin is 2.1. Sorry. Mali ako dito. Hindi pwedeng Fnet1 is M1A. Tama. Fnet1 is M1 times A. Kasi pare-parehas ng acceleration. Ngayon, so tingnan natin to. F21 Do we know what F21 is? We don't. No? F is known. Yung acceleration is known. Hmm. 3-point track. Ano ba yung FNet? FNet sys. That's 3.2. So FNet sys is 3.2. Mm-hmm. Ngayon, FNet. Okay, ito yung ano. So if this is FNet M1, ito, that can't be 3.2. It should be yung 2. Kasi alam natin yung mass and yung acceleration ng 1 eh, di ba? So kinompute natin yun dito eh. Say acceleration. Sorry. Dapat iba yung tinitingnan ko. Okay. 0.914. Alam na natin yung acceleration ng system. 3.2 over 2.3 plus 1.2. Tapos, alam natin na FNet 1 is 2.1 newtons. Tapos, itong equation na to, yung I think may problema. F2 acting on 1, M1 times FNet system over M1 plus M2. Ano ginamit tayo para lumabas yan? 1 and 4. 1. Sorry, kahit ako nalilito na. Sige. Gawin ko lang siya, gawin ko lang siya on my own para ano, kasi since hindi ko naiintindihan na yung process. Gawin ko yung part A. Since hindi ko naiintindihan na yung solution mo. So pakita ko din paano ko gagawin. Tapos tapos pag-isipan natin kung para ma-check na kung nag-agree ba tayo. So, let me work it out this way. So for part A, yung free body diagrams, ito. So for part A, apply to the larger block. So let's call that F. So I think pareho pa tayong free body diagrams. So this is for M1. Tapos meron tayong force from 2 on 1. Ngayon, yung free body diagram, so this is FBD1. This is free body diagram 2. So free body diagram 2, the only force experienced by M2 would be F of 1 acting on 2. So far pareho pa tayo. So M1 is equal to 2.3 kilograms, F is equal to, let's put in the numbers, 3.2 newtons. Tapos ito, hindi pa natin alam. So, yung ano natin, so, free body diagram number 3, yung sa system. So, the system itself, M1 plus M2, will only be experiencing a net force F. So, the acceleration of the system times is equal to F over M1 plus M2. Ito yung first equation ko. This comes from Newton's second law and free body diagram number 3. Clear ba paano yung bakit totoo to?
Opo.
So 3.2 newtons. So let's calculate that para lang may value tayo. So this is going to be 3.2 newtons over ano yung masses? M2 is equal to 1.2 kilograms. And that's going to give us 2.3 plus 1.2. Yung calculator answer is 32 over 35 meters per second square. We don't need the decimal representation, although we can represent it using decimal. Kasi hindi ito yung unknown. We'll just be using it later. So I'll just leave it in fraction form. Ngayon, so ang gagawin ko naman ngayon, let's look at free body diagram number 2. So from free body diagram number 2, okay, let's copy that para lang at lagay na sa isang tabi para madaling makita. We know na M2 times the acceleration is equal to F12. So this is equation 3. Clear naman, no? Kasi from the free body diagram, yan lang yung force na nararanasan ng mass number 2. So, F12 is equal to mass of 2 times yung acceleration, which is F, over M1 plus M2, which is ano yung masses? 1.2 kilograms, 2.3 plus 1.2 kilograms, and then 3.2 newtons, which is 1.2 times 32 times 1.2. That's going to be 1.097 something newtons, or rounded off, that's 1.1 newtons to 2 sig fig. Okay na ba?
Okay na.
So that's F12, the force exerted on 2 by object 1. Ngayon, paano naman yung F exerted exerted by 2 on 1. Ano yun? Teka, hello?
Hello po?
Ayun. So, ano yung force exerted by 2 on 1? Ano value niyan?
Negative ano po? Negative 1.1.
Teka, tingnan mo yung tingnan mo yung notation natin dito. Yung F, yung mga F na yan, magnitudes. So, since this is only a magnitude, this should still be 1.1 newtons. Since F12 and F21 are magnitudes. Hindi sila yung may directions. Yung directions, pasok na dun sa signs. Kaya totoo to. F21 is equal to F12. Kung included yung directions, yung F21, ganit, ang dapat na itsura, F21 is equal to 2 acting on 1 is going to be equal to 1.1 newtons, tapos negative, tapos I hat. Pero since we're dealing with magnitudes, kaya ito lang yung kailangan. So this is going to be equation 5. Okay na? Ngayon, ito ipapatuloy ko sa iyo kasi yung nagawa pa lang natin ay yung part A. So, yung sa part B, set up ko lang yung free body diagrams and then I want you to continue with this. So, tingnan mo yung statement. It says here sa part B, so let me copy ko lang to para mabasa natin. So ito, part B. The force of the same magnitude, if a force of the same magnitude is applied, show that if a force of the same magnitude F is applied to the smaller block, but not in the opposite direction, the magnitude of the force between the two blocks is 2.1, which is not the force calculated in A. So explain the difference. So ito yung free body diagram. So sa situation 2, hindi na yung F na yan, hindi na nag-act sa 1. Instead, ito yung free body diagram ng 1. It's going to be pulled. So ang assumption natin, applied to the smaller block, if a force of the same magnitude is applied to the smaller block, but in the opposite direction, ano yung sabihin nun? Ganito ba? Yeah. If a force of the same magnitude is applied to the smaller block, but in the opposite direction. So this is yung free body diagram of block 2. So, may push na F. Tapos, meron ding force from 1 acting on 2. And then ito, 2 acting on 1. So, FBD number 1. So, ibang situation. The force is now, so yung blowing for that, ganito. So, yung figure 5-50, hindi na applicable. Instead, the situation, I think from my, at least yung interpretation ko ganito. What if, ito yung F. Same magnitude, pero opposite na yung direction. So, yung push na sa kabila mo gagawin. Tapos, papacompute sa'yo. What's F12? What's F21? Show that you get. So, show that you get F12 equals 2.1 newtons. Yeah, pulay ko lang to. Okay, save ko lang, tapos padala ko sa'yo para pwede mong tingnan at i-edit. So let's call this for revision. Kaya nagawa pa lang yung part A eh. Tapos send ko sa'yo. Yeah. So, yung revised version nito plus yung solution ng part B, pakita mo sa akin next Sunday. Okay? So, since it's already 7:03, we'll stop here and I'll see you again on Thursday. So, sa Thursday, tutuloy natin yung sa TC7. Okay? So, see you on Thursday. Bye-bye.
Thank you po. Bye-bye po.